Hey guys, what's up? It's Kylie, and today I am outside. It's a change of scenery. It's crazy. I know. I'm never outside. I'm never outside. So I decided, why not film a video outside? It's the week before spring break. As of next week, as of next Friday, I will be on my spring break. So next week's video is a very, very fun video about spring breaks, and I'm super excited to release it. And first off, sorry that like the past few weeks have just been like talking videos. I know that sometimes those are kind of boring and not as like entertaining as you guys probably hope, and like not my most entertaining videos as I usually post, but I promise you that the next few weeks of videos are going to be amazing and super entertaining, I hope, and just I'm really excited to make them and film them. So yeah, I hope that you guys will like them. But for now, so every now and then, I feel like everyone has just that one spring break moment, whether it's every spring break or just that one specific spring break that they will never forget because just some nightmare bad experience happens on it. And for some people, something like that can happen every spring break, and for some people it like never happens. So even if one small thing of like bad luck or a bad thing goes wrong, it's like it's just either ruins the spring break for them or it's like it's permanently engraved in their mind. For me, I'm usually a person that doesn't always have bad luck, but at least something like, I guess you can say something bad happens every spring break, but I feel like that happens for everyone. But anyway, last spring break, there was just a painful nightmare experience that I will always remember, and I decided to share it with you guys so that you can feel my nightmare experience and compare it to your guys's and be like, oh, I've had it way worse than that, or be like, oh my gosh, that is way worse than everything that I have ever had. I am sorry you went through that. Anyway, let's get into the video. Basically, like I mentioned in my last video, I had a great opportunity last spring break to go to Costa Rica, and it was such an amazing experience, honestly. Like, I loved it so much. And then the Saturday of the weekend when we had to go back to school, like the end weekend of spring break, is when I had my flight back home from Costa Rica. And it was with this company where we're not with our parents, we're all just kind of like by ourselves. Like, we're with a group with other kids of like all different ages throughout high school, and we have like specific group leaders and stuff, so it's not like we were just alone in a foreign country. So we did have people with us, but then once we were on our flights, if you didn't have people from the trip with you, and then you were basically on your own. So it was my first time traveling alone because my dad also had to be in Costa Rica, so he flew down there with me. So it was my first time traveling alone. I mean, I had two other of like the girls from the trip on the flight with me because we both had to go to Houston. So we were both kind of like on the same flight, but we were like, there weren't any adults with us or anything like I was used to. So we were kind of all by ourselves. And so like they left us in the airport, like we got there super early because one, it's an international flight, and two, a girl had a flight at like 6, so we just all had to go to the airport at the same time and like check in and everything because they weren't gonna like drop us off like one by one from the hotel. So we all had to be there, so we all like got up at like 3:30 in the morning. We kind of stayed up all night because we decided that since it was our last night together, why not stay up all night watching movies and like make it the most memorable night of the trip. Well, half of the people ended up falling asleep during the last movie that we watched, except for three people. And so we were all awake for the whole night. So like that morning when we woke up at 6, we've been up since then, and it is now like 4 the next morning, and we're at the airport and we're like checking in and everything is going fine. We're getting to our flights, getting through security, all of that blah 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 boring stuff. First, since I had no sleep for like almost 24 hours by now, I decided to take like a nap on the plane while we were going to Houston, but While we were on that plane, apparently they found out that they were having engine troubles. Like, nothing, from what they told us, it was nothing too serious, so that, like, we were gonna crash right then and there. But basically they were having engine troubles, and they didn't want to, of course, fly over the ocean knowing they had engine problems in case it did get worse and we were to crash in the middle of the ocean. So they didn't want to go, so they had to turn back. But no one woke me up for the announcement, so I'm still asleep. And then once we land, no one wakes me up again. So I wake up, and we're still in Costa Rica. I'm so confused, but like nobody's on the plane. Literally no one. I looked all around me. The people that were next to me are off the plane. Everyone in front of me is off the plane. Everyone behind me is off the plane. I'm literally the only person still on the plane. So I'm like freaking out. I thought that they left me. I thought there was no way I was getting back to the airport. I didn't know like what was going on at all. And then when I walk off, the flight attendant was there. He knew that I was on the plane. It was a dude, which is the creepiest part, because it was a dude, and as I'm getting off, he's like, oh, did you have a nice rest? I was like, bruh, it's your jaw. I had no idea what was going through his head, but like, I don't know flight attendant's job, so like, sorry if I get this wrong, but from what I know, it's almost like a flight attendant's job that if someone is sleeping when the plane is landed and they do not wake up as when it lands, you need to wake them up. And that might not be what flight attendants need to do, correct, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but like, from my point of view, that's part of their job, to wake people up if they're still asleep when the plane lands and people are getting off, especially if they saw you sleeping. And so none of my friends that I was on the flight with woke me up. Nobody woke me up, so I just wake up in a panic and I sprint off the plane. Luckily, the bus that was taking people like back to the actual airport, because we couldn't land like in a slot because all the flights were still going, like we weren't expected to come back, and so all of them were filled, so we couldn't like actually land into the thing. I get back on the bus and it takes us back to the like actual airport where we can sit down and everything, and that's when I finally meet back up with one of my friends, and we're sitting there and I asked her what happened, and she's like, oh yeah, they gave an announcement saying that there was engine problems and stuff and that they had to turn back. And so right now, within like, it's probably almost been 26 and 30 hours of that I've been awake by now. So, yeah, between that time, I'm only running on 1 hour of sleep, which I just got on the plane, where I woke up in a panic. And our plane is delayed until 10:30, and then it's delayed again until like 11:15. But basically at like 11:15, when we were supposed to get on our plane, we thought that we were at the same gate as we were before, and it was so confusing because the plane at that gate was still going to Houston, so we thought like, oh, our flight just came back there, so that's where we go. So we went back to the gate that was on our tickets, and we boarded and everything. They didn't look at our ticket. They just scanned it and they're like, okay, go ahead. So we got on the plane, and like, people are in our seats because of course it's a different flight, so they have already bought those seats. So then we're all like, what is going on? And then of course we have the flight attendants, and we feel super bad because then we have to delay that flight because they can't figure out our tickets. And then they look and they're like, oh, it's because you're on the morning flight, it's at a different gate. You can ask the lady at the desk out front of this gate and ask where they moved you to. And we're like, okay. So then we have to get off the plane and everything and ask the lady, and she tells us which gate to go to. So then we're there, and then when we go back there, we like sprinted because we thought that our plane was still taking off at 11:15, so we didn't want to miss it. But then once we got there, we saw that it was delayed again until like 11:30. We just like stay there and everything, and then we're able to board our plane. We get on the plane again. Everything's going fine. We get back on. People are starting to get annoyed. They gave us the stupid, disgusting airplane food lunch, where it's like the gross fake meat type sandwiches. The only good thing about that was in there was like, they gave us Costa Rican chocolate and fruit. which was bomb. That was probably my favorite meal from the experience. My favorite food from the experience was their fruit and chocolate. We get back on our flight and I'm like, okay, I tell myself, I'm like, I can't sleep this time because if something happens again, I don't want to wake up like last time where no one woke me up and everything. So then 30 minutes into our flight, once again, the plane has to turn back around because of engine problems. The same reason we had to turn around before, but yeah, they didn't fix the plane. So then of course we land, and then once we land back in Costa Rica, they go over the announcements and they're like, okay, we're gonna work to try to fix the plane, but the next flight that we can get you on isn't until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I won't be home till 24 hours later than I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be home like at 4:30 Saturday afternoon, but I'm not gonna be home until like 4:30, 4:45 Sunday afternoon. So tons of things were going through my head. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where we were gonna stay for the night. Luckily, booked out like the rest of a hotel for us to stay at, so we did have a place to stay, and we had like a free buffet and everything like that, so everything was paid for by the flight. They were super nice about it. They took like all responsibility for it. It was so nice, and they were just so nice about it. They even gave us like $150 like voucher for for later flights. The bus, like, we were literally sitting on a plane for like an hour waiting for the bus to come so that it can pick us up and bring us back to the airport. And then at the airport, we couldn't find our bags at first, and then my mom was like freaking out, so she kept trying to call me, but of course since I was in a different country, like sometimes calls weren't going through, or like it just kept like static, like being like going out and stuff like that, so it was hard to keep my mom on the phone and stuff, but luckily, like, I calmed her down. I was like, Mom, it's gonna be okay. They bought us everything and all that stuff. So yeah, we were able to get a taxi and everything with some other people and go to the hotel. Luckily on Sunday nothing happened. Nothing bad happened. They even gave us a different plane to go to Houston that we used before. So yeah, it all ended up being okay, but yeah, just the whole experience in general was like a nightmare. Yeah, overall it was a pretty frightening and just a whole nightmare experience in general, and I'm really hoping that doesn't happen again on any flight, whether it's out of the country or not, just on any flight that I'm alone on, because it was seriously terrifying. So yeah, that was my spring break nightmare story. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below if you guys have any worse stories about your spring break than me, and what you thought of my story if you want to. Also, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Also, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, you can either click my face if you are on a computer, or if you are on an iPhone, or if you just prefer to hit the button on the computer, then there should be a button that says subscribe down there, which you can press, and then I upload videos every weekend. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye! Let's hope I just don't sit in dog poop today. Go, go, go. I am outside today. Amber, go lay down. Go. Amber, go. Go, go. Amber, go lay down. Go. Go lay down. Go lay down. Oh my god. It's just already off to a bad start. I apologize about the barking dog. Anyway, so basically, So then I was able to get back on to the, like, I was able to get on the bus. I was the last person on. So